Okay, thanks for visiting our website, capitalsolutionsonline.net. In our effort to push forward through technology, this is our first video on our blog, so thanks for your patience. See if we can do this without a hitch. What we're going to talk about on this post is the different ways a person can finance a truck or a trailer if they have bad credit. We're going to go through 3 or 4 different ways of doing this, and hopefully you'll find it useful. And I do have my cheat sheet down here, so I will be referencing that from time to time. There's really 4 different ways you can do this. The first way is, of course, to use a cosigner. This is where you're usually going through a dealer, and their financing company will accept a cosigner to compensate for your bad credit. The problems associated with this, number one, is, first of all, a lot of lenders aren't doing that right now. In the tight credit market that we're in, cosigners are becoming less useful. A lot of lenders aren't taking them, especially the captives. Second problem with using a cosigner, those lenders that do allow for a cosigner require that the cosigner have a CDL. And that sort of ties into the third problem, where if the customer has a cosigner that has a CDL, oftentimes the financing company requires them to have ownership too, which makes them the customer, really, if you think about it, because they are, if they have to have ownership of the company, that's a partnership or a corporation, LLC or something like that, and they have to be part owner, so that makes them an owner anyway. So there's 3 real reasons why cosigner isn't, even though that's an option, it's becoming less and less useful out there. Number 2 is, referring back to dealer financing. A lot of dealers out there will have, in addition to their captive financing companies, they will actually carry the customer. They get a customer who comes in, wants to buy a truck from their inventory. Their regular financing companies decline them, so the dealer carries the customer for them. The customer will make payments to the dealer in lieu of cashing the dealer out. That's a good deal if you can find a dealer that'll do that. But again, some problems that are associated with that. Number 1 is you got to buy their inventory. You have to buy from their lot. You can't get financing from that dealer and then buy elsewhere. So that's kind of a drag. Number 2, sometimes, often, they will inflate the cost of the truck to compensate for their need to carry you on the deal. Number 3, they will, of course, charge you interest for the privilege of doing this, and oftentimes that rate could be pretty high. So when you combine that with the inflated cost of the truck, you're kind of getting a double whammy there on paying for the pleasure of having them finance you. So that's kind of tough. Number 3, we get a lot of calls, people that are considering doing this. They'll want to buy from a private party, and that private seller will offer to carry them like the dealer would. That's really risky. You want to be real careful with that. The biggest problem we see with that is that there's title transfer problems. The buyer makes the payments to the seller, and then all of a sudden the seller disappears. They won't transfer the title. We have a deal going on. In fact, it blew up today. The seller was not being nice and wouldn't transfer title. This is after all the payments had been made, so the buyer was in a real tough spot. If they're buying, and here's another messy one, the buyer buys the truck from the seller. The buyer's making payments every month to the seller, but there's an existing lien on it, and the seller, who's receiving those payments every month, is not paying the underlying lien on the truck. So the buyer goes out. I'm smiling because I get these calls a lot too. The buyer goes out to get in his truck one morning. The truck's not there anymore. because the lien holder, the bank, took it because the seller wasn't making payments. That's bad. That's a real bad situation. And of course, if you're stuck with buying a lemon, you're screwed, pardon my French. You're not going to get any recourse from the seller. They don't care. Okay? That leaves option number 4. If you have bad credit and you have access to additional collateral, that's a great way to get into a truck, because it allows you to buy from any dealer, any private party. You can buy from auctions. You can buy the truck anywhere you want. Negotiate your own price. You can get pre-approved while you're looking for a truck, and you can reestablish your credit. So it's a great way of rebuilding yourself and getting into a truck.